Alright, I won't bore you with doing the upper half, which is pretty much the same boring, time-consuming procedure as the lower half. A couple things to point out, I think that are worth pointing out, is once you have the film peeled back and this is clear, and you have the center line, I like the idea of just running tape across it as your cut line, because obviously it's not a straight line. That worked pretty well, and then just cut it with the jigsaw. The other thing I noticed, like I mentioned on that one, is that this top tube is bowed downward. Now, unfortunately, I didn't notice it until I got the Lexan on, so I'm not really going to change this one. It is what it is, and this way both sides will be the same. I don't think it really matters. This seal is up against the inside, no problem. So there you have it. One thing to look out for on the upper window is when the instructions tell you to center it, make sure you center it here, because if you center it up top, you're going to be short down there, but that's pretty obvious. All right, maybe I will do a quick explanation of what it is that I'm doing here, since this is the fourth of the panels and I think I got my technique down. And first thing you do is clamp it per instructions. On this one they say make it flush at the ends here. It's obviously not going to be flush with the tube there. Center it here and there. And what I'm going to do now is flip it over and basically, there we go. I'm going to trace where the door frame tubes are on the inside so I can peel the protective foil back and cut it. So basically, this is the line that I drew, that's the inside of the cage tube. And all I do then is peel this, maybe like a ½ inch or so beyond that, and then cut it like a ¼ inch. Obviously you want to make sure that you don't score the window in the visible area with the razor knife. That's it. So once you're done with that, you flip it over, and then you do the same thing where you can kind of see through here the imaginary line. Alright, once that's done, this should fit inside the frame tubes. What I like to do is I like to actually spray the exposed area with some detail spray and kind of and clean it with a microfiber towel. The detail spray has a little bit of wax in it, so it helps keep those areas from scratching. I know they're going to be painted and mostly not visible, but I think it helps. Alright, now it's time to lay it back on the frame. Clamp it in place. Hold on. I gotta drill these holes first. Alright, got those all drilled. Obviously I didn't drill one in the very corner because that one's close enough. Then try to shake out any crumbs that are inside without bending them down. Usually a good amount of junk that falls out of it. I don't have one of those deburring tools that does the inside, like DJ, but I should get one. Alright, Time to put the plexi on. Get it all clamped back into position. Time to transfer drill the holes on the outer door frame. Alright, so they're all drilled and clecoed and aligned. You know, you got scared for a second because this slid down a little bit. So, but it's got enough material to cut it, so not a problem. But just be sure you don't slide too much. Now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to mark the outside with a magic marker right onto the acrylic. Then I'm going to take a piece of tape and line it up the edge with the center line here. And I'll use that as a guide to trim this, and that off. Got those three sides cut. And like I said, I just used the edge of this blue tape. There's my guideline there. Also protects the glass from getting scratched. We have some doors. Got them all clecoed in around the outside. That center cut seems to line up pretty good. You still seem to line up good with the door frame. And this one I put that front piece on. I gotta trim it, I guess, halfway to the Station 2 cage tube. Then I put the tape track up here. I'm gonna trim that extra Lexan. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Click out this forward trim piece on too. And then put some blue tape on here and use the old aluminum trick by just holding a straight up edge up against it and marking it to get the center line. So I'm gonna mark the center line and then transfer drill it onto the see-through acrylic, not acrylic, but Lexan. So in that last piece I ended up using the cut and score method, and I put a little bit of template tape on my ruler just because these pieces are very thin to take off. The template tape on the ruler is just double-sided tape, so it doesn't, kind of like temporary double-sided tape, so it doesn't slide on me. This one here, because it actually has an arch to it, I'm just going to use a 6-inch ruler and go piece by piece. Like anything in this project, it's a lot of trimming, fitting, sanding, trimming, fitting, refitting, but I got this flush with the frame up there. I ended up cutting these things at the angle that those are at. I haven't done this one yet. And about 1/8 of an inch shorter than the top of that. And that's primarily, see how that hits there? I know the door's not gonna swing up that high when the wing is on, but you need clearance here because this protrudes beyond that. Then this fits pretty good. I ended up cutting this on the center line, so I'm happy with that. And now I'm gonna trim this off. And honestly, I'm just gonna do it with a set of snips. That's a perfect gap, I think. So yep, got these flush. Now I'm kind of contemplating of making this lip maybe an inch down to get rid of this weird angle down here. And this seems to fit evenly all the way around. So an inch down, meaning from the frame tube to the bottom, they give you 1.25 inches. I might trim it down to 1 inch, of course, to save weight. But before we do that, one of the last things is to put these extruded pieces on. And I'm going to go about that by finding the center point here, I think, and then working my way backwards from there. See what Well, I have no real strategic way of measuring this, so we're going to go by the eyeball method. Cut, trim, trim, cut, fit, cut, trim, and don't cut too much. I painted these black. Alright, left side came out good, front and rear. This is a little thicker obviously than that piece there, so I gotta try and figure out how to blend it in. More importantly, I drilled a few, and I keep checking on this side to make sure, because that strip is 5/8 and this is only 1/2 inch, that you have, you know, a 1/16 on the top and a 1/16 on the bottom. Basically, make sure you center it properly. Got the passenger side done as well, pretty much same as the driver's side. Happy with how that came out. I have a few things left for the doors, and we'll save that for tomorrow. This has been a long day. I've been at it since probably about 8 o'clock this morning, a few breaks in between for lunch, and my mom came by. But now, I'm going to bed, tired. Good night. I have this real urge to put a round over on this sharp edge. So I think I'm going to take it to my shop where I have a router that's on a table. Put a little round over. I don't know if that's you can see it or not, but I think that was worth doing. It's a nice little touch, and clean it up. Back at the home factory, so the rounded, I really like it. I like the way it feels, I like the way it looks, I like the weight savings, ha ha ha. But this little gap here, so I'm trying to figure out a way to deal with that, and I have it on both ends, and I think I have a solution. And it's gonna look something like that. So basically what I did is I put this in the vise further back, and then I took my flush cutter pliers here, my Nipix pliers, and I basically just bent that down a little bit, and I'm gonna keep this straight and just sand that to match it, and I think I'll do that on all 4 ends, and that'll make for a nice finish. hard to tell on camera, but now it fits flush inside there. I think that that looks really cool. And same thing on the back side. And it kind of also unaccentuates the fact that we cut that angle there. But yeah, that was a good idea. So I'm still contemplating if I should trim this from 1.25 inch overhang from the door cage tube down to 1 inch. I'm trying to think of a reason that that would be a bad idea. The benefits are that it would, you know, look better against these rivets. They actually overlap on the other side, and I would get rid of this weird bend down there. I could just clean it up a little bit. I think I'm gonna do it. I did it. So originally with the tube, these were 1.5 inches. No, sorry, must have been 1.75 inches. Now they're 1.5 inches. And now I'm going through and deburring them all. And I must love deburring because I already did all 200 holes when it was a number 30. But now I upsized it to a 27 and deburred them and sanded them with, I don't know, 180 or 320, 240, something like that. Now I'm gonna paint these black. Fun, fun! It's time to paint. While those are drying, I am going to work on the door latch holes. And you have to drill a 3/8 hole here. And what's that, a 3/16? 3/16 and 3/8. And another question I have is the pieces that overlap where you're supposed to put the rivet that's flat. Why do they have you doing two different methods? One's a 1/8 inch rivet, so I practiced on this little piece and that works. One is a number 40 rivet with the mandrel in it. This one you pull the mandrel out and you just squeeze it with a squeezer, and both work. I'm just wondering why they have one way up the front it's an 1/8 inch rivet, and on the back it's a 1/16 inch rivet. There's got to be a reason. Let me know if you know. Alright, got all the holes drilled and upsized to 27s. I cannot upsize these half ones, so what I'm doing is basically just taking a 1/8 inch file and making sure they're nice and clear. Starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I cleaned, deburred, and even deburred from the inside with a little hook deburr thingy. All holes, there's 70 in each door, which means there's 70 in the two pieces of Lexan, including all the half holes, and then there's almost 70 for the outside pieces. So that's a lot of holes that need a lot of attention, all different little steps to go through them. I painted all my trim pieces, SEM satin black. And I also painted these aluminum things that go on the bow. And while I was at it, I painted all the rivets that hold all 34. They don't give you 35 or 36. I can't mess up all of the rivets that hold that bow in. And pretty much it's final assembly. Long day. Alright, so I put all the pieces on, still fits, it's a good thing. I don't think I forgot anything. I ended up putting all the rivets in just because of the weird tension that's on it. And my plan is to eat dinner, and then after dinner to replace basically the rivets one by one. Sorry, I put all the clecos in because of the weird tension, and then pull each cleco out and replace it one by one. So on the back of these beautiful strips, I put the foam tape, and where the rivet holes go, I just use a soldering iron. So they poke through. That works pretty good. Door is done. A beautiful thing. Happy with how it came out. I didn't do the hardware yet. I still got to do the other door, the riveting, but everything went really, really good. A lot more work than I thought, but I probably wasted more time. Anyway, I'm doing little things like this and what have you. Anyway, I'm really happy with it. Probably gonna end the video here and do the latches. Maybe that'll be a short video. Good night.